Time after time with the I've been roll out a line like I don't read the signs. I'm so done with the lies, that's why I ain't got no time. 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 I ain't got no. Boy ain't looking at the clock. Stuck up in the game like rock. Ball boy with the hook, can't stop. Like the dread on my head, stay locked. Look, always, no island. Stay fly, no pilot. All beef, no diet. Real G, stay silent. I'm all for the mission to pray for the tension because the vegetables come with complacency issues. And then the chosen the hockey's replacing, no picking the tissues. They thinking and crying and laughing and aim for the issues. I've been up like all night, working on the crab cause the sucker don't bar right. Doing about to swing cause we ain't about to fall. I'm living on my knees cause I know it ain't all I. Oh my God, never gonna stop. Think I'm finna go and chase my legal name to pops. Y'all a bunch of birds, I ain't even gotta fly. Looking for the beat, find a light up in the trap. See it at the top, praise be the trap.
Hey guys, and welcome to the new episode of Full Throttle, and today we'll show you one of the most astonishing, the biggest and the most badass cars you can ever see on the road. This is the Mercedes G-Class Squared by Brabus. The name of this model is literally G-Class 4x4 squared, which means it's 2 times the regular G-Wagon. Of course, it's not 2 times as big, but it's much taller and much wider. And what's really interesting is that this car has not started its life as a regular G-Wagon, but this is in fact the 6x6 model with one removed axle. That's what makes it so special. And yes, as crazy as it looks, this car actually comes out of the factory like this. It's absolutely stock and it only has the Brabus modifications, but the suspension and everything else comes like this. And I'm 1 meter and 86 centimeters tall, and this car is 2 meters and 24 centimeters tall, making it one of the tallest production vehicles that you could ever buy. Now, as you can probably imagine, living with this G-Class Squared is not like driving a regular car. Let's take climbing in for example, because it's a pretty tedious exercise. So first you have to open the door with this button right here. Then you have to put your foot here, get this grab handle, and then you have to climb like an action hero from a movie, and only then you can get in the car. Now, if you think getting into the front seat is hard, let me show you what happens to the back seat, because you would imagine that a car of this size would have plenty of space, but you'd be very wrong, because the door only opens to this level, so that means you have to climb through this hole and you have very little space. So that's another pretty difficult exercise. And we have to start this video with the giant dimensions of this G-Class Squared. Now we have it here against our camera car, and you can see it's almost double its size. It's almost 2 meters wide, which is as wide as a Lamborghini, and trust me, in the small city streets it's pretty hard to drive it. But of course, while it's very wide, what's really impressive about the G-Class Squared is how high it is. Now you can see it compared to a regular car, which is a 1 meter and 50 centimeters, and the G-Class Squared, which is almost 1 meter taller than this BMW 3 Series wagon. It looks very impressive, and it stands like a tank on the road. But perhaps the most impressive feature about this G-Class Squared is its ground clearance. Now, on the regular G-Wagon you get 9 inches, which is pretty impressive and actually can get you pretty far off-road, but here you get 18 inches of ground clearance, which is more than any SUV that is on sale on the market, and it means you can go over pretty much anything that stands in your way, even though I doubt that many of these cars will actually go on heavy off-roading. And here's the reason why this G-Class Squared is actually so much taller than the regular one. You get double suspension and a lift kit, which means that the car can go over pretty much anything. And let's talk about these wheels, because they might look very small but are in fact 22 inches, and those are special Brabus wheels, which although they look kinda sporty, Brabus promises that you can go pretty much over anything and they can survive high impact, whatever that means. And let's talk about the tires, because they're also pretty impressive. You get a 325 on 55 in the front and in the back, and they have a pretty wide stance. You can probably notice that there's absolutely nothing beneath the car, and the reason for this is very interesting. As you can see, the front axle of the car is not coming from the center of the wheels, and it actually has been lifted up, so it gives the car more clearance. That's a very expensive solution, and you probably won't see that in any other car, and it just shows how much effort has Mercedes put into making this model a real off-road beast. Another very impressive exterior feature of this G-Wagon is of course those carbon fenders that you get on the front and in the back. They are very expensive, costing around $25,000, so you better don't scratch them, and that would be pretty difficult because they stick out very wide, and if you actually go off-roading, it's very possible that you might hit some stones and branches. And if your daily commute includes going over rivers, this is the best car for you, because the G-Wagon Squared can go into 1 meter of water without any problems.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
And because this G-Class Squared is a Brabus, not just a regular G-Class, here we have many logos reminding you that. We got one in the front, we get this special carbon fiber stuff, we get carbon fiber fenders, and of course more logos in the back. Another super impressive feature of the G-Wagon are the lights up here. Now they're standard, but when you get the Brabus package you get these carbon elements right here, which makes it even more impressive. And what's also interesting is that these lights are not legal to use on the road, so you can actually turn them on, but Brabus says that they're not for public road use. Let's check out how this G-Class Squared Brabus sounds. Now this car sounds very good by itself because it's before all the OPF regulations and stuff, but here with the Brabus exhaust system it's even louder. Now let's hear it. Now in the back of this G-Wagon you get another Brabus logo, and you also get the 4x4 squared logo right here in black. But what's really interesting in this car, and you don't get it in the regular G-Wagon, is this metal bar right here, because the car is so tall, and if somebody rear-ends you, this bar will prevent him from literally going under the car. And now let's see what's under the hood of this 4x4 Squared. Now this car is sold with only one engine, which is the same V8 from the G500, which means it makes around 420 horsepower. Now Brabus offers many software updates which can lift up that to 450 horsepower, but honestly I don't really see the point of that. And also what's really interesting is that you have to be kind of tall to be able to reach that hood. The first thing you notice when you climb in this G-Wagon Squared is the driving position. So I'm sitting here and I have a regular car next to me, and I'm almost 2 times as tall. You feel like you're a bus driver and everyone else is just this small thing on the road. The interior of this G-Wagon Squared is like no other car on the market, and you realize this the second you climb in. The first thing you notice is that although the car is huge, there is actually not very much space in front and even in the back of the car, and it's actually pretty tight for your legs. Also you get this minuscule center console because there's just not enough space, so things like the cup holders and the 12-volt socket have to be actually moved here on the side of the passenger seat. Now you get a lot of carbon fiber because this is a Brabus car, and you definitely get some extras. You get carbon fiber center console, a carbon fiber wheel which looks amazing, and so on. And of course, as in every G-Wagon, you get this oh shit grab handle, which might come pretty handy when you go off-roading or when somebody decides to go full throttle in this car. What's kind of funny is that when this car was first designed, nobody really thought about installing cup holders, so Mercedes had to retrofit them, and to do so they choose to add those little nets which look like basketball hoops, and at least I think are hilarious. And I wasn't kidding when I said that there is not much room and it's pretty tight in here. Sitting in the back you get almost no knee room whatsoever, and the headroom is not ideal too. So if you're going to plan on using this as a family car, you might want to reconsider. Now let's see how this G-Class Squared is like to drive. Now I have to admit, this is one of the most insane and incredible vehicles I have ever driven. You need good 10 minutes to get used to the size of this thing, because it's wide, it's super tall, and it's a nightmare to drive in the tiny city streets. But what's really interesting is that you're sitting so high on the road that you're actually seeing everything from above, which makes for a very interesting point of view. Now actually driving the car is also pretty difficult, because due to the very tall suspension the car actually rolls a lot and the steering is very numb, so you have to do like one full circle on every turn, which gets a lot of getting used to. But you might think that a car that weighs almost 3 tons would be sluggish and not fast at all, but because this is a Brabus, it has 450 horsepower, so when you go full throttle the car actually moves and it does 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, which for a car of this size is actually pretty impressive. Now something I was not so impressed with is the ride. You would imagine that an off-road monster like this would have a very soft ride, but when you put the car in sport mode, which you have to if you don't want to roll out of the road, the car actually has a pretty harsh ride going over road bumps and imperfections. But of course this car is absolutely crazy and nobody really needs it, but we have to be thankful that Mercedes and Brabus are still building amazing pieces of engineering like this, because pretty soon this car will be a dinosaur and there will be no more like this left. So even though it might not make any sense, this car is an actual off-road beast that can be driven on the roads, and while it's fast, it's of course best suited to going off-road. So now we will do something a little bit funny. We'll try to do 0 to 60 in this beast. Now it still has 450 horsepower, so it should definitely do a respectable time. It claims 0 to 60 in under 7 seconds, but let's see how much it will do. Let's see what times did we get from this G-Class Squared. We have 0 to 60 in 6.9 seconds, which is exactly what the manufacturer claims, and is a pretty impressive time for a car like this. So overall, this G-Class Squared is truly an amazing vehicle that shows just how much German engineering can achieve if they are given absolutely no limits. And of course, the car is horribly expensive, it's super unpractical, and nobody in his right mind would buy it, but still, it's something to admire and something that I'm glad Mercedes has done.